Mhm. Yes. It is 6 o'clock. The meeting is called to order. I'd like to announce that a quorum is present. The meeting has been duly called, and notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act. We will now convene in closed session as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Section 551, specifically 551, 071, 072, 074, and 082. It is 6:01. Thank you. I will.
Flowermail Community.
Okay. Okay. Good. You're going to have them come up then? Okay. Good. Good evening.
Crack me up.
The time is 7 o'clock, and we will now reconvene into open session. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Really good to see everyone. Okay. Do I hear a motion for personnel recommendations? The chair entertains a motion. It's been moved by Mrs. Kyer, second by Mr. Ferguson. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous.
Get so much stuff here.
Okay. Okay. We're ready. The chair would also entertain a motion for the head football coach for Lewisville High School. Do I hear a motion?
Ms. Gregg, I move that Greg Miller be approved as the athletic coordinator, head football coach at Lewisville High School.
Is there a second? Mr. Knapp. It's been moved by Mrs. Latham, second by Mr. Knapp. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? It is unanimous. I'd like to announce that our new head coach and athletic coordinator at Lewisville High School is Mr. Greg M. Miller. Would you... Mr. Miller. Welcome. Please have your family come stand too. Well, I'd like to see your family. Welcome.
This is my best, Mary.
Okay, good, all right. And the Lewisville family, if you'd like to join them on stage.
I'd like to give Coach Miller a new Lewisville High School jacket. All right.
Okay. All right, welcome. Congratulations, Mr. Burns. Are there any other Lewisville family out there?
Let's acknowledge after they've done that, the committee that did this.
Okay, okay,
Let's
okay,
get a picture with them after they take this.
okay,
You want to
okay. Okay,
Can we do one more? I'd like to bring the selection committee from Lewisville High School that participated in that. Can they take a picture with all of y'all?
yes.
With us, if y'all want to come up again, and we'll get the selection, because these people work really hard in terms of making this recommendation. We want to thank them for that.
Good job.
Who? Well, sure.
Yes.
You can get whoever you want.
All right. Want to go? Good job. Yeah. Good luck. Thank you. Thank you very much, and good luck. I am one. I have no doubt. I taught at DeLay and sent many football players over to LHS, so I'm sure that you're going to do a great job. Thank you very much, and welcome. And now, the chair would entertain a motion for the head football coach for Flower Mound High School. This is a big night.
Madam Chairman, I move that Stephen Dane Johnson be approved as athletic coordinator, head football coach at Flower Mound High School.
Moved
I'll
by
second
Mr.
that
Ferguson.
motion.
Second by Mrs. Kyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? It is unanimous. Congratulations, Mr. Stephen Dane Johnson. Would you stand and have your family stand also, please? Wonderful. Thank you. And with the selection committee for,
Do we have members? We have members of the selection committee here. Come on up.
And
this is big stuff.
Are there other members?
Other members of the selection committee, y'all come forward.
And the
But
Flower Mound
everybody
family.
else that was supposed to come up, they have gifts or whatever, okay.
Anyone else from Flower Mound community who'd like to join them?
Mr. Brackett, come on, guys. Mr. Brackett, come on.
Once again, board and community, I'd like to thank the committee that's here for all the work they did in making this selection. We're really excited about Mr. Johnson coming and joining us.
Okay, he did. He had them stand. Would you introduce your family? This is your wife.
Yes.
Hi, sweetie, how are you?
Good hat.
Congratulations, Flower Mound. And it fits.
Call on me, just call on me down the street.
Okay.
I just want to introduce my wife, Jill, and this is little Sailor Love and Samuel. And we're excited to be here, and you'll probably see them running around all over the place. Kind to them, go to kids and pastor kids and kind of the same. Take any help you get them.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, Dr. Haynes would like a point of personal privilege.
Thank you very much. Ms. Gregg, members of the board and superintendent, I don't take a moment of personal privilege very much, but this is indeed a very important occasion for Lewisville ISD for a couple of reasons. One, it was about a year ago that we hired a new superintendent, Dr. Stephen Waddell. And as a result of him coming on and with the board's support and new leadership, we have instituted a process that is inclusive of the community that has never been done before in this district. And I want everyone to know that because this is our Appreciation for Board Month, that we appreciate our board in bringing on a superintendent and a board that was supportive of a superintendent and doing things very, very differently in this district. What you are a part of tonight is a result of that difference that we are going to make with Lewisville ISD. So this is my moment of personal privilege. This is the Board Appreciation Month, and I know we're going to acknowledge that later on, but this is a result of your board's hard work, but also a result of hiring a superintendent with a vision to do things differently that's more inclusive. So thank you for my moment of privilege.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. It is an honor to serve in a great district like LISD, and I'm sure that those of you who are employed here, you would agree, it is a wonderful district. And I'd like to thank everyone for all of these beautiful signs all around. It looks beautiful, and I don't have my camera, but I plan to come up here tomorrow and take pictures because they're beautiful. Thank you very much. Oh, they said phones. I want a camera.
I've already taken one of everyone in the room.
Okay, thank you. So
I
you'll
got to get the
send
ones
it?
upstairs. Yeah.
You'll send it to me? Okay, good.
all
Thank
of them.
you.
To everybody.
Okay. Our next item of business. Okay.
Point of
The
parliamentary
point of-
procedure, just
okay, we will take
let's
a-
take a 30-second recess for people to exit.
Okay. Good.
Wait a minute, what about the rest of the board?
Okay, let's go 2 minutes. 2 minutes, go.
He's gonna step. Did you meet Coach Sean?
Yeah, you're off tonight. We'll put you back on.
Yes, sir.
There are people like some of us that constantly stay on growth plans because we constantly are trying to change things.
I know, and I will always be on a growth
And
plan.
I never got off of one because, you just, it's just.
I
the
know I
nature of the
didn't,
beast.
but this needed to be said,
Yeah, good job.
and he couldn't say it. Board couldn't say it, so I said it.
Thank you. Reconvene, and thank you. The next item is the open forum, and I don't think we have any cards. Is that correct?
Actually, we have the public hearing.
Oh, public hearing, academic. Okay, Skip. I didn't want to skip you. In fact, that's very interesting. Thank you. Mrs. Dr. Dr. Riddell.
Thank you, Madam President, board members, and Dr. Waddell. I'm very excited to give you information on the AEIS, Academic Excellence Indicator System Report for 2011 for Lewisville ISD. First of all, there are some significant changes between 2010 and 2011, and just a few of those are that for the first time there was a base indicator for commended performance, and so you had to have a minimum of 15% of your students commended in order to be a recognized campus, and you had to have 25% of your students commended to be eligible to be an exemplary campus. We had a new English language learner in progress indicator. There was a new federal race and ethnicity definition that determined student groups, and that was also applied to MET standard. There were tax indicators for tax modified and tax alt were blended in with the regular tax test takers for this year. The standard for academically acceptable for mathematics and for science raised by 5 points each, so you had to have 5 percentage points higher in order to reach academically acceptable for science and math. Texas projection measure was no longer used, and gold performance acknowledgement for college readiness increased by 5 percentage points. So given that the standards were higher, then we have our good news. First, we are a recognized district for the 3rd year in a row. We'll talk briefly about our gold performance acknowledgments. We were acknowledged for attendance for college-ready graduates, and that is an area where we increased by 5 percentage points The standard was higher this year. For Texas Success Initiative in mathematics and commended on social studies. And where you see it says 2009, 2010, that is accurate because those are always reported 1 year behind the year of the AEIS report. In reading language arts, you see a comparison of 2010 and 2011 MET standard and commended performance. All of the scores under MET standard that are blue are areas that are exemplary. Our economically disadvantaged students scored at 89% in reading language arts, which put them in the recognized group. 5 of 5 scores maintained in MET standard, even though, and then commended performance, we had 2 of 5 scores maintained, 3 scores dropped, 1 percentage point. In mathematics, where the MET standard score was higher than last year, you'll see that we had 2 all students and white attained exemplary, and we had recognized scores for African American, Hispanic, and economically disadvantaged students. And a summary, 2 scores increased in MET standard, 2 maintained, 1 dropped by 1 percentage point. In commended performance, 1 score increased, 3 scores maintained, and 1 decreased by 1 percentage point. So even when we were dropping, you could see we were barely dropping. For writing, all of our scores were in the exemplary range. 2 scores increased and 2 maintained. 1 score dropped 2 percentage points. And for commended performance, 5 of 5 scores increased. In social studies, all of our scores were in the exemplary range. 3 of our scores increased in MET standard, 2 maintained. In commended performance, 4 scores increased and 1 decreased by 1 percentage point. In science, you can see that we had exemplary ratings for all students and for white students. Our African American and Hispanic students scored in the recognized area. And you'll see in the purple that we dropped 2 percentage points. Remember, this was an area where the standard was higher from last year. And that is the score that the state applied an exception for so that we would be a recognized district. So 2 of the scores maintained and met standard, 2 decreased by 1 and 2 points each. And in commended performance, 4 scores increased and 1 maintained. If you remember, there are 2 ways that a district or a campus can get a higher rating. One is required improvement, and the other is an exception. And so for 2011, 1 exception was applied by the state. It's not something that we have an opportunity to accept or decline. Our campus ratings are shown on this slide. You can see we had 26 exemplary campuses in 2011, 21 recognized campuses, and 16 academically acceptable campuses. Excuse me. What you're looking at is a list first of high schools, then we'll have middle schools, and finally we'll have elementary schools. And what I wanted you to be able to see was whether a campus achieved a rating with or without help. And so you'll notice Lewisville High School was rated academically acceptable without assistance, and their current rating is academically acceptable. For Lewisville Learning Center, academically acceptable is the highest rating possibly given for a learning center type school, and so they attained that. You'll notice the Colony was academically acceptable. Hebron Ninth was rated academically acceptable. The Colony missed being recognized by, I believe it was 1 point in math commended performance. It's the kind of thing that just makes you want to scream. Hebron High School, as you can see, and Marcus were recognized. Flower Mound and Kilo were exemplary. Where you see red in the rating without or current rating, that's where you see a change happen. And where you see ratings in blue, then the campuses earned those ratings straight up without any kind of assistance. And you can see that when there was a red rating, the reason was that each of the campuses used one exception that the state applied, we did not. Beginning our elementary schools, you can see that we had 2 exceptions used on some of our campuses, 1 exception, and then you can see which campuses were academically acceptable without any kind of assistance. The next campuses were all recognized and straight up, as our friends from HEB like to say. Timber Creek was rated recognized but had an exception. You'll notice that two of the campuses did not make exemplary because of their commended performance in math, and they were each a point or so away. And these are all the elementary campuses who were exemplary with no assistance whatsoever. This is a tremendous amount of work for what the teachers and principals and staff do is just amazing. I want to talk with you about our completion and annual dropout rates for 9 through 12, grades 9 through 12. The first is a 4-year completion rate, and so these are the percentages of students who complete high school in 4 years. On the next slide, you will see a 5-year completion rate for students who may have repeated one of the grades, and so it takes them 5 years to graduate. What you'll notice is 3 years of data, and you'll notice that there are 15 groups possible on this, and 14 of 15 groups increased. Our African American students decreased between 2008 and 2009, but then had a really nice bounce back in 2010. For our completion 1 rate, these are our graduates and continuers. You can see that in 2010 we had increases across the board. We had 13 of 15 groups increase over a 3-year period, with only these 2 areas dipping in 2009. This is our 5-year completion rate and annual dropout rate. You will notice a pattern here. If you look at the difference between 2008 and 2009, you'll see that our African American students decreased in their 5-year completion rate. We fully believe that's unacceptable, and we're working on it. You'll notice also that we had a pattern between annual dropout rate and 5-year completion rate. And so these scores are continuing to go the wrong direction, and we are rabid that we will fix that. It's not acceptable. Our college and career readiness data, our average SAT and ACT scores are shown here for 2007 through 2010. You will notice that in 2010, going across this row, all scores increased. You'll notice in ACT for 2010, our African American score dipped by 0.1%, or by 0.1, excuse me. So when you look at these holistically, 29 of 30 measures improved, or increased or maintained. In looking at our advanced placement data, you'll see patterns. This is the percent of students tested, and it's important that we are very aware of working to test more students every single year. And then it is also important to look at, as we test more students, are we also making higher scores? And so you'll see that we had a dip from 15.1 to 13.2 in 2010. All of our other scores for percentage tested increased. And as you look across the percent of examinees who scored at or above criterion, that means they received college credit for their AP score, their AP work, their AP testing. This area for Hispanic students was down. All of the other areas increased from the prior year. And then when we look at our easy for you to say, college-ready graduates, you'll notice that 39 of 40 measures increased over the years from 2007 to 2010. The only score that decreased in those years was this one score for Hispanic students. And remember, we had a gold acknowledgement for college-ready graduates. Our PSAT mean scores are shown here from 2008 through 2011. You'll notice in the 2011 school year, we have some drops from the prior year. In visiting with the College Board folks, they said that one of the things that was important to note was that we had increased our percentage of sophomores taking the PSAT by 6.9%, and that we increased the number of juniors taking the PSAT by 18%, 267 students more. And according to College Board, that is statistically significant as a number that would predict to have a vast drop. And we did not have a vast drop. Our English language learner progress continues, with the exception of one group, to improve over time. You can see that our white students in 2010 dropped 2 percentage points. The state needs for you to have 60%. I'd say we're well above that. We have areas that we are concentrating on, and so because our job is never done, because we have 50,874 students and everybody should succeed, we are working on engaging instruction in which students produce knowledge, working to have continuous curriculum improvement and implementation. And I'm excited to say that right before Christmas, we had students participate with our curriculum writers for English Language Arts for high school, and we will have some video coming out of that very soon so that you can see what the students and the teachers learned from each other. We're working with differentiated instruction using high-yield instructional strategies, professional learning and professional learning communities, and response to intervention. At the end of the day, the bottom line every single day is the quality of what our students receive, because we believe, our vision, all of our students enjoy thriving, productive lives in a future they create.
Thank you. This is an open public hearing, so if anyone would like to come and comment, you feel free to come forward. Anyone? Well, thank you. Very well done. And it is not easy to become a recognized district with 52,000 students. So I commend the staff and administrators, and especially our teachers and support personnel, because we have thrown a lot at you, but regardless of what you have, you come up and do the very best job that we can. So I know we have some problems, and we're going to be working hard to try to close some of those gaps, but the tells us what we need to do. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Dr. Riddell. And Dr. Waddell.
Okay, our next item is the awards presentation and recognitions. Now, Dr. Waddell.
Those R's and W's are hard to say. It is School Board Appreciation Month, and this happens every year at January, and it's an important time of the year in which school districts and communities have the opportunity to thank board members who are highly paid, who volunteer their services, and in a very difficult job. I think my personal view, which I state often, is I think public schools are essential for strong democracy, and I think they're the one institution in our society that build community. And so the work of school board members is extremely important, and I think the most important work that, from a public service standpoint and from an elected official standpoint, I think it's the most important work that anyone does. And but they do it entirely volunteer, and they put in a lot of hours. You see them here in board meetings, but they do a lot more than this. They have to go through extensive training on an annual basis. They have other meetings to attend that are part of their responsibilities. And these board members, anybody who's involved in our community knows that wherever you go, when there's something going on related to school, or often just related to things that are important to the community as a whole, these people are there. So they do an incredible job for our community, and they do an incredible job for our children. And I am particularly thankful for the work that they do. In working with these people this past year, and it's been nearly a year, I've known you for a year, I realize that they do this for the kids. So I know we all feel the same way in giving our thanks to them for their service to our children and our community. We have a lot of principals in the crowd back there, it looks like. Around this room are a lot of work that their schools, their children have done to express their appreciation for your work. It's always nice to see that. How can you beat student work? And I think there's some other things that have been brought to you today. And I have a proclamation that I want to read. And it says, whereas the mission of the public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to a democratic society in an ever-changing world, and whereas local school board members are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child, and whereas local school board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to create the educational vision we want for our students. And whereas local school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school system. And whereas local school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district, now therefore I, Dr. Stephen F. Waddell, do hereby declare my appreciation to the members of the Lewisville School Board and proclaim the month of January 2012 as School Board Recognition Month in January. I urge all citizens to join me in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members and in working with them to mold an education system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's children. In official recognition whereof, I hereby affix my signature the 9th day of January 2012, and I believe you all have copies of this proclamation. And
If we don't, we'll get.
believe you do. Well,
I don't see it.
okay, Jeannie's shaking her head and saying I messed up one more time.
That's okay, but we'll get one.
But it'll be there.
Beautiful.
And let's, if you all don't mind, those of you who are here, let's give our appreciation to these board members.
Thank you.
And you see Tristan's
Thank
over
you.
there, and we'd like for you all to kind of step around so she can
Oh.
take a photograph.
Oh, wow, okay.
That's right.
You notice Dr. Waddell distributed our paychecks to us while we were up there.
That's right.
Thank you.
Everything is coming to us.
Our next item is a presentation by CoServe Electric to the LISD and the Lewisville Education Foundation. Dr. Burnett?
We have tonight Tracy Elrod, representative of CoServe Electric Cooperative. As part of their cooperative efforts, they periodically return capital credits back to the members, which Lewisville ISD is a member, and Tracy is here tonight to present Lewisville ISD with a check. And accepting on behalf of the district is Larry Williams, our Director of Facility Services.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Tonight I'm presenting a check. Oh, there we go. Well, I'll say it again. We just wanted to send our thank yous for what you do. We understand what kind of jobs that you have, and it's very important. We just thank you for what you do. Tonight we will be giving a check for a little over $93,000.
Wow.
This is.
That's a great one. Love it.
This check is actually to Lewisville Independent School District alone. We've got another one for the Education Foundation, which we will give later on.
Thank you very much. I want a picture with that one.
Mr. Williams, we'll be able to get that in the ATM machine on the way home tonight.
They still will. This is just not it.
Hey.
You couldn't cash it in.
93,000. Thank you. We can do a lot with that. Okay. Our next Communities in School grant from Verizon Foundation, Dr. Haynes.
Would Dana Smith, Executive Director for the Communities in Schools, join me up here? Come on up, Dana, in case our board doesn't know, but Dana's a new Executive Director for Communities in Schools, even though it was done this summer. Still always an acknowledgement to have. There we go. Come on up, Dana. Dana is accepting a grant from Verizon, and she is going to introduce those people involved and accept a very nice grant. So go ahead, Dana.
Madam Chairman, board members, Dr. Waddell, I just want to say thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to accept it from Verizon. In just a moment, I'm going to introduce Barbara Walker. She's going to come up and introduce some other folks from Verizon as well. We're very pleased to accept this check because with this very generous donation from Verizon, we're going to be able to better serve the students at Central Elementary School through the case management program at Communities in Schools that's helped numerous students succeed in school and prepare for life. So we want to say thank you to Verizon and thank you guys for allowing us to come today. Barbara Walker, please come up.
Good evening, everybody. I'm joined tonight, by two of my friends at Verizon. Lewis here is on the board for Communities in Schools, and he is one of our IT experts at Verizon. To my left, Frank Antonacci is our Verizon Wireless Regional President, and he is a Flower Mound resident, has 2 daughters in the LISD. He's also a board member for LEF, so there's a lot of love up on the stage for this district and what y'all do. And we, too, would like to thank the board. It's probably a thankless job, but maybe tonight you're getting a few thanks, so hopefully
Yes.
carry the rest of the year. Just keep it coming. So we thought, what a better way to say thank you than to just bring some money. Let's just cut to the chase, right? No, but we are really very, very happy to partner with Communities and Schools, and as Dana indicated, they, provide such great intervention to those kids who need it, mentoring, making sure those kids don't fall through the cracks. There are those who require that, special attention, day after day, month after month, and Communities and Schools is doing that, so we are very pleased to help you fulfill that mission here at LASD. So we are presenting a check to get your year started and to get y'all going for $20,000.
Wow.
And that is dedicated to the LISD intervention programs. So
Wonderful.
yes, we're very pleased. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It takes all of us to keep LISD going the way we're going. So we really appreciate all that Communities and Schools, what you're doing. And thank you, Verizon. Okay, next, Stuff and Pantry Food Drive winners, Tristan Wilson.
Okay, it is my great privilege to kind of introduce some of our Stuff the Pantry Food Drive winners. If Rachel Mell and Jennifer Laney with CCA would come up here
Jennifer.
to do the honors.
Good night.
That would be great. So first, we have the winning feeder pattern. So this is the feeder pattern that collected the most food throughout the food drive, and it goes to Lewisville High School feeder pattern.
Absolutely. Anytime you get a chance to highlight schools that do a great job in your feeder pattern, you should do that. And I'd like to identify Rockbrook Elementary, Huffines Middle School, and the old school Lewisville High School as the leaders in our zone. One of the hallmarks of the Fighting Farmers is our service to others, and I'm very happy to accept this from CCA. Thank y'all.
And next we have the classroom winner. So this is the classroom that collected the most food throughout the entire district. And that goes to Old Settlers Elementary, first grade classroom. Miss Lori, would you please come up here? And as they're coming up, I'd like to say that we are thankful to Win Kids in Flower Mound. Because of their winning, they donated free gym time for the entire first grade classroom. So they'll be taking advantage of that. So. And last but certainly not least is the campus winner. So the campus that collected the most food throughout the district. And that goes to Downing Middle School. So if Miss Lisa Lindgren would please come up here. And we have a special presentation for Ms. Lindgren and her student council representatives that are here. So if Susan Allen would please come up with Hometown Heroes, that would be great.
Okay. Hometown Heroes is just a program, and that we sincerely believe, I'm sure as everybody here is getting the gist of that, is just to really serve communities and to give back to our communities, and so that's where our heart is. And we just wanted to be here and say that we are proud of y'all and thank y'all for having such a servant's heart. So thank y'all very much.
I'm Lisa Lindgren. I'm the principal of Downing Middle School, the very proud principal of Downing Middle School. The kids worked so hard, and the whole plan was spearheaded by my National Junior Honor Society. Some students came with me tonight to receive this award. I want to introduce Blake Watson, our NJHS president, Jordan Robbins, our NJHS vice president, Stephanie Johnson, our NJH secretary, Sarah Putney, our NJH treasurer, and Kristen Lentz, our sponsor. Our other sponsor, Miss Mary Beth Brisky, was unable to come tonight, but I want to thank her as well. And Blake had a little something he wanted to say.
Hi, my name is Blake Watson, and I'm the president of Downing Middle School's chapter of the National Junior Honor Society. First, on behalf of Downing Middle School, I would like to thank you for inviting us to attend LISD's school board meeting. We are humbled by Hometown Heroes' generous offer. While we certainly appreciate your generosity, we would like to respectfully request that you instead use this money to help those in our community who are served by the CCA. We recognize that these are especially trying economic times, and we are grateful for organizations like the CCA who are there to help our friends and neighbors in need. It was our honor and our privilege to participate in this year's food drive, and we sincerely feel that the knowledge that those less fortunate in our community have been helped by our efforts is its own reward. I know that Downing Middle School is looking forward to participating in next year's drive. Please also rest assured that you will be able to count on the help of my fellow classmates and me as we move to Marcus High School next year. While we thrive on the competition the food drive provides, we will remain aligned in the goal that the real winner should always be the CCA and our awesome community. Keep up the great work, CCA. Thank you.
Wow, yes. Yes, please stand. Wow, I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of CCA. I'm almost verklempt, almost don't have words to say. You guys are amazing. So Downing Middle School and all the school district, and this is $500. This will go, we'll put it to good work, and we will feed a lot of families for that. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. She said it was all their idea to give us the check, so we appreciate that. I also want to thank, I know this is the School Board Appreciation Month, and we are so appreciative of the school board. So Dr. Waddell, Vernell, Greg, the whole school board. We know that at CCA it is a community organization, and we couldn't do it without you guys. So the fact that you guys did this food drive for all the school districts, I mean for all the schools in the district to participate, it made such a difference. There was 190,000 items donated to CCA, and that is absolutely huge. Absolutely. Give a round of applause. That's amazing.
With that, we serve over 600 families every week in our food pantry. We were able to serve Thanksgiving baskets, Christmas baskets, over 1,000 baskets for each of those. And I will tell you, there is so much need in the community right now. I know when families come in and they don't have food to put on the table, this helps so much. Right before coming over here, I was talking to our Director of Family Assistance, who's been there for 26 years. She told me about a family who came in with 4 kids, no shoes, and her words were, they just looked hungry. And that's why I know your test scores, you're focusing on test scores, and if people don't have the food to eat, you know where those test scores are going. So we try and look at all that and give them everything we can, but we couldn't do it without all of your support. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Gabrielle. Thank you. Love seeing those kids. Did they leave? Yes, they're gone. Oh, no, there they are. Thanks. Our next item is the Texas ACT Council 2011 College Readiness Award, and I know those kids will be ready. So, Dr. Riddell.
We are very excited to announce that 2 of our high schools have earned the ACT College Readiness Award. This award is given to campuses who have increased their participation in ACT over the last 5 years, while at the same time increasing their composite score over the last 5 years. This happens for about 10% of the high schools in Texas. And so we are very proud to acknowledge and award a certificate to Hebron High School, Scott Finch. And Flower Mound High School, Sonia Lale.
Great, congratulations. The trainer.
We also want to recognize some folks who gave of themselves. Region 11 is part of a statewide initiative for kindergarten through 12th grade professional development. And we had teachers who were trainers for other teachers. Across the state, Region 11 was able to offer more than 149 sessions with over 3,825 teachers. And Lewisville ISD teachers participated in that. And so we would like to recognize Christine Julie Cohn, Jana Claxton, Laura Troy, Laura Vaughn, Trent Voiles, and Amanda Mossberg. Thank you for giving of yourselves to the state of Texas.
Thank you, and congratulations. Our next item is the open forum that I tried to have earlier. However, I don't think we have any. Hearing none, we will move on. That is very rare. So many good things. They didn't want to spoil anything. This is wonderful. Okay, we're down to the information items. TASB Policy Update 92. This is going to be something that I advise. I see some of the representatives from UEA and TSTA. You all better take note of all the new things coming down the pipe. Dr. Haynes.
Madam President, members of the board, and superintendent, this is TASB Policy Update 91 for the third and final reading at the board level. There has been...
This is information. Information.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, I'm sorry. The information item before you is Policy Update 92. This is a very small one-item policy update that deals with legislative changes in the policy that deals with reduction in force. This is not something at this point in time of immediate concern to the board. However, we do need to update our policy and procedures, and this is the first step in doing so as an information item.
We have a discussion items, academic calendar, 2012-2013. Dr. Rogers.
Yes, Madam President, school board members, everyone's favorite topic, certainly mine. The Academic Calendar Committee consists of 29 people, and you have that in your board write-up. I'd like to recognize any of the committee members that are here. If you would please stand. These are some of the folks, teachers, administrators, parents. There were students. There's one of our students is here that represented and met. Probably spent about 7 hours working on next year's calendar options. So if you would join me and express your appreciation for them. Just a quick review from last month. The 29 folks, they met 3 times. We looked at and developed 2 options for the calendar, and you have those options, option A and B. Then between November 18th and December 10th, we put it online and asked for people to vote. There were over 6,000 votes, and it was 2-to-1. A little over 4,000 votes were cast for option B. I looked back today to see how many emails that were forwarded to me from either the communications office or that I got directly about the calendar, and there were about 12. Not a great number. To be honest with you, the majority of those dealt with 2 things. One, why can't we start school earlier and finish the semester before winter break? We'd love to do that. There are no waivers granted anymore by TEA, and so that changed about 4 years ago. And the other one is, as everyone knows, everyone would like to start late and get out early, and it just doesn't quite work that way. But we did, several parents were very grateful that our calendar is more aligned with surrounding school districts due to the fact that we are going to, with your approval, request a waiver from 180 days, instructional days, to 177. And so you see that worked in both calendar options. I'll certainly answer whatever questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions, board? Comment?
We won't have any problem getting that waiver, will we?
Don't believe so.
I didn't
Ms.
think so,
Scott.
but I figured I'd ask anyways.
Yeah.
No. We'll bring that to you to approve after it has already been approved by the district committee to recommend the waiver, and we'll bring that to you next month to approve before we forward it to TEA.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Rogers, I had a teacher with the question about November 19th and option B. Will it be possible for teachers to earn that entire week off with extra time served or extra staff development? For instance, they don't have to go to staff development on that day. They can take it in the summer or work something out with their...
That's a great
Staff
question,
development
Ms.
office.
Foudy. Certainly our expectation with
that Professional Learning Day on November 19th is not to have anyone at work that day. It's to reward teachers for all the time that they spend in the summer or at other times. The Professional Learning Department will create opportunities for them to waive attendance at that day where everyone will have that week off. They'll just do their professional learning 6 hours worth at some other time before then. Does that make sense? We call it right now a trade day. We're looking to rename it, but Ms. Brockman,
excellent. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ms. Brockman, the Executive Director of Professional Learning, was on the committee, and certainly she and her department will work on that. But we intend for no one to be working that week of Thanksgiving.
Great. Very good. And my special thanks to the committee, because I'm sure, regardless of whatever you would bring, there will be someone who won't like it. I wondered about the calendar this year when we came back that Monday, and I meant to ask how the attendance was that day. Do you know?
Yes, ma'am. Attendance was probably down about 8 to 9 percentage points on that Monday, January 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
And so that did cause some problems, particularly at some schools. It was certainly a greater percentage of non-attendance. So.
Okay.
I actually got a Facebook thank you from a parent because he got to go to a lunch with his wife because his kids are in school, so because he had the day off. So it goes both ways.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you very much. Consider approval of TASB Policy Update 91, and this is an action item. Chair entertains a motion.
I move we approve update, TASB update 91.
Move by Ms. Latham, second by Mr. McDaniel. Make you a doctor right now. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Unanimous. Consider approval of Raptor System visitor screening. Chair entertains a motion. It's moved by Mrs. Fowdy, second by Ms. Latham. Any discussion?
Yes, I have some discussion. You know, it says on the background information, protecting the students of LISD is one of LISD's highest priority. And in my opinion, it is the highest priority. If we can't keep the students safe in the schools, then we shouldn't be bringing them into our classrooms. But I've done some homework on the system, and I really don't believe that it's going to do much at all to help protect our students. You know, the way the system works right now, and first let me tell you, I made phone calls to principals. I called all 5 high school principals. I talked to 2 middle school principals, and I talked to 4 elementary schools. Now, 2 of the principals had their secretaries call me because they knew the system better, but I've talked to a total of 11 campuses about this. And the way this works is it checks for sex offenders. At present, when somebody goes into one of the schools that has this system, they go in and they turn their ID card, usually the driver's license, into one of the staff. The staff runs it through, and it runs it through a database. Now, it's a database of names. It's not a database of driver's license numbers. It just brings up any sexual offender who has that name, whether it's, you know, John Smith or Mark Adams. And so if a match is found of the name, of the common name, then administrators are called up to deal with the situation. That's all well and good, but what I'm finding is that the majority of hits, the majority of people that are actually called out and says, we have a hit of a sex offender here, are actually not sex offenders, but someone with a common name. In talking to Brad, I wish Brad would have stayed, he said they get 4 to 5 hits a year, and usually only 30% of them are accurate. The others are not the right person. At Marcus High School, he said that they only have 40% of the hits that are correct. Mr. Finch told me that they hadn't had any hits this year. Is that correct, Mr. Finch? Okay. At Liberty, where they have the system, they've had 4 to 5 hits, but they've had no correct matches. It's just misidentifying people. At Indian Creek, they set up the system in September, and they're not using it today because for some reason it's not functional. But everybody I spoke with, every hit that we had was a parent. And every time a parent comes up to see a child, if they've had a background where they've been labeled a sex offender, a pedophile, they can still go in, they can still go to the party, they can still go to their cafeteria to have lunch with their child, but they have to be escorted by the administrator. Now that's a huge burden, especially on the elementary schools that have one, maybe two administrators. The problems that I have with this system are it doesn't match driver's license numbers. It doesn't go to a national database. As a matter of fact, it doesn't check for criminal activity. All it checks for is the sex with a child. So that means that, instead of looking for everything, we narrow it down to one of the criminal activities. It doesn't check for kidnapping. It doesn't check for rape. It doesn't check for murder. It doesn't check for assault, felons, terrorism, or gang activity. And I can tell you that several of those criminal activities are much more prevalent, especially in our high schools, than pedophiles. The system is such that we're having so many mishits. Well, they have so many mishits that a lot of times parents go in and they're stopped by an administrator to make sure that it's the correct person that they're trying to identify. Brad at Lewisville High School told me about he goes to Mansfield where they have this system to pick up his daughter, and when he does, it always hits on him, and it's always an African American male out of Ohio or Illinois. Has nothing to do with him, but every time the administrator has to come up and just double check and make sure it's not the right person. So the system's working less than half the time. It's hitting on parents. It ties up our office staff. If you go to matter of fact, to do this in the high schools, we've had to go to a person there at the entrance all the time. It's going to tie up our administrative staff. It's going to tie up our office staff at the elementary schools, at the middle schools. It's going to tie up the administrators. And it doesn't cover all the criminal behavior. And then we have another party. At the elementary schools, what do we do when we have Valentine's parties and all the parents come in? What do we do when we have the Christmas parties? And you've got those parents lined up, in a 2-hour line to get in to see their children. And on top of that, that's when the kids are out and about and supervised less by the staff. So then, if you look at the middle schools and the high school, if you go to a high school, almost any high school any day, you can find a door that's open somewhere to the outside. You do not have to go into the front through the front door. So I just thinking that it's not going to be that beneficial. All the principals told me they love the new shop fronts, the ones that force everybody to come through the offices. They love that. They feel like that's done a whole lot to help the security of the schools, and I agree. And I think we could do the same thing by just having parents or visitors to the school give a driver's license when they go in the front office, as opposed to going through a database that hits one thing. What if, I think there's systems that could work a whole lot better. And the fact of the matter is $175,000, $176,000, it may be a small amount relatively, but in reality it's a lot of money. And I feel like that, in 3 or 4 months, we're going to be talking to our department heads, we're going to be talking to our principals and saying, what can we cut? And they're going to go start cutting things that hurt the children. And so I'm thinking that this is something that we can forego on at this point. It won't benefit our schools that much, and, I would rather see the $175,000 go to other items.
I'm just curious, you said if the parents come in the door, they hand over their driver's license and do what with it?
A couple of things. What they could do, and some of the schools they put their license into it's essentially a copying machine that puts it into their database. Some of the principals said, well, we could take their driver's license or an ID and hold it until they leave.
What does that do?
What does that do? If there's anybody with criminal intent, I can't imagine them walking in the building saying, here's my driver's license. It's the same thing as the check, and then going and abusing a child or kidnapping. It just doesn't make sense. It's a deterrent, and that's what this other system is. It's a deterrent.
When you say they can hand over their driver's license and scan it into the database, what database?
Well, they make a database of all the activity, of all the people that have come in and requested to see a child.
So you have a database, but nobody's running a thorough background check on that database?
The database is just those who have come in and entered. It's not running a criminal check on them.
So I still don't know if that person is a bad person. All I know is they have a driver's license.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But in reality, who walks into the bank to rob the bank and gives them their ID and then, gets it on their way out?
Actually, a guy a couple weeks ago just did that.
Is that right?
I found
Okay.
him, but anyhow.
Stupid, but. Well, one thing that I made a point, if we catch one sex offender, we can still keep that sex offender from being a chaperone at some event. So that's something that I have thought about too.
We do that right now. It's my understanding as an elementary parent, I have to complete a background check before I can go to any party with my children.
Yes.
And if a parent does not pass a background check, they cannot be at the party or volunteer on a field trip, so we always already have that measure in place, and I'm assuming if that person were to be found a sex offender through the system, the same system would be in place. So the rationale for if they're put through the system and they're going to still be allowed to go down, that doesn't make sense to me, because right now, it's my understanding that if you have a background check done and you're not cleared, you can't go to a party, or perhaps that's just on my child's campus.
And the Raptor system is a live database, so based on when the background check was made.
Right, it's a live database, but what does that database consist of? What is the criteria that it's checking? Is it checking a social security number? Is it checking a driver's license? Or is it just checking a name?
My understanding that the driver's license is
But
what
if they
it's
have,
associated with.
if you have the system here in Texas and they don't have a driver's license,
Then it checks whatever their card is how
and
it's
so then it's
designed.
just matching on a name. It's not actually matching on it a unique, unique identifier, right? It doesn't have a unique identifier such as a driver's license or social security number, right?
It's my understanding that it does check the actual driver's license, but David, do you have additional information about the...
Enlighten us, David.
Hi, good evening. What it does is it checks on the person's name and their birth date are the two factors that it uses, and it goes into the national database and in live, and it checks on that. If it comes up with a match, like me with my birthday, a match, it brings up on the screen for our staff member the information on that person, like we'll have their race, their height, and those kind of things based on the records, and if possible, has a picture of the person from their criminal file, and then the worker looks at that and is supposed to make a judgment call. For instance, if this person is a Hispanic person and it says in the database it's a Caucasian person, they would say, oh, this is a different person, and hit no on it, and then it'll print off the badge and they'll be let into the school. If the worker thinks it is a match, uses some judgment and thinks it is a match, that's when they would contact the administrator of the school then to talk with the person or to escort them around.
So if they're tagged as a predator, they're still allowed to go into school because we can't keep them from their kid, right? They're just escorted.
Correct.
That's true.
And like Julie
Well, if they're
said,
not a parent, though, then we can stop them there.
But there's never, what reason would a non-parent have to go into the building?
change light bulb, paint a wall, fix
There's
a
a lot
water
of non-parents in
faucet.
there daily.
Shouldn't be.
Coming to have lunch with their children, or their niece or nephew, or, yes, it happens every day.
But we already have a card. The middle schools and the elementary schools have a card that's issued at the beginning of every year that the parents have to say who has access to their children. And if they're not on that card, they don't get in to get them to see the nurse, they don't get to pick them up, they have to be on that card prior to.
Well, and another question I had, Mrs. Brown or sir, is what other systems like Raptor are out there? And what rebuttal do you have? Because I, like Mr. McDaniel, have heard that there's more misses than hits.
Raptor is the system that is used more than any other system. And I know that Mr. Ostreicher, because he was part of the process when we looked at various ones, if you would like to add to that or provide additional information.
Sure. We had looked at this deeply back in 2008, as you know, and we looked at several systems. One was called Keeping Track. Yeah, I believe it's called. And we looked at that, and we actually did a pilot of that program also. It was a very similar product. You just scan the driver's license, very similar. It had technical issues. It didn't scan very well, so we didn't choose that. We did visit other districts like Irving ISD. We went there, visited them at that time, and this is one of the biggest programs used out there. Many of our schools, as you know, use just programs that are standalone and where the person just puts in their name, and that's kind of doesn't do any good. You could put any name you want. So that's kind of the history of how we've gotten here.
So again, I go back, there's not a unique identifier. It's kind of doing a match on a name and a birth date, and there are probably a lot of Brenda Latham's born on May 1st.
Who are
Across the
registered
United
sex
States.
offenders. Hopefully not too bad. But common names are in there a lot. You are correct.
I couldn't think of a common name. John Smith.
Yeah, it's possible to have multiple ones. That's why it does bring up the unique information like the race and oftentimes the picture.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to speak in favor of the motion. You know, last month we voted to spend $180,000 or so to put fences around some middle school fields to protect some grass. So here we're spending, if I remember correctly, this is $35,000 a year. This is not $175,000 per year, right? It's a 5-year contract. I don't care if we get a few positive hits. If we keep one sex offender out of school, then it's worth $1 million.
And I also would like to say that from what I'm listening from the discussion portion last month, the schools that currently have Raptor are ones that have purchased it on their own, correct? The ones that have decided that that's what they want and they've used their own budget funds for some way. And this includes an update for them?
Yes, we purchased it for the high schools, and then we've had the additional
You get some
schools
elementaries?
purchase it,
Yeah.
yes, on their own.
Yes.
And this will take care of all of the campuses for the complete 5 years.
And it also gives them an updated system for.
It connects them with the
Yeah.
LISD information and all of that, so, yes.
Any other discussion?
Well, I'm at my children's elementary school daily, and I always go to the simple little system that's in place, check in. No one, I mean, of course, I'm there daily, but you see it again and again. People check in, and they're just allowed in. All they have to have is a sticker on. And as a parent, I would personally feel much better if there was some kind, it might not be perfect, but it sounds like right now this is the best system out there, and it does do its job. It is flagging people. I would rather there be some kind of system in place to safeguard the children than nothing at all. And a sticker, in my opinion, does nothing.
Thank you. Are we ready for the question? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Mr. McDaniel opposes, the rest in favor. Thank you. Consider lease for minerals at Harmon and Kilo campuses. Dr. Burnett?
We would ask that you consider postponing this until a later time. We still have some language in the lease agreements that we're trying to resolve.
We'll move to postpone indefinitely, Madam Chairman.
A second.
Ms. Latham to postpone indefinitely?
And I mean that in the parliamentary sense, of course, it can be brought up
Anytime.
Next month.
Exactly. Are you ready for the vote? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Do I hear a motion for the consent items? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm moving the game. Did I skip over another one? Oh, there it is down there. The chair entertains a motion for the, consider approval of the architect services.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. McDaniel, second by Ms. Kyer. Are you ready for discussion? Ms. Kyer?
Actually, Mr. McDaniel's the one that made the motion.
Your motion, Mr. Ms. Kyer?
Well, Dr. Burnett, would you like to go over, or somebody would like, Dr. Waddell?
Thank you, Ms. Kyer. I'll go ahead and lead. Since last spring, in the spring we began talking about the establishment of a facilities assessment committee, and as something we'd like to do a thorough study of all of our facilities. That would be going along with other initiatives such as the demographic study and the bond oversight committee. So it would be another component to that. And in doing so, we indicated that we would like to go out in time, we would go out for an RFQ to procure architectural services. And we have discussed that, brought that up a number of times in discussions, both in meetings in the community as well as in conversation with the board. In October, the board meeting on October 17th, in the cover letter regarding contract extension for architect services, we indicated in background information as part of the agenda item that we would be soliciting a request for qualifications for architect services from any and all architectural firms. We have been waiting to begin the Facilities Assessment Committee until this RFQ came in and we had a chance to go through the selection process. I want to remind the board that procurement of architectural services comes through the Texas Professional Procurement Act, not through the bidding process, and that's intentional on the part of the state legislature. In this case, we're looking for the best qualified, not for lowest bid, and actually for all professional services that applies, but architectural firms are specifically identified for that in terms of the procurement. And there's a two-stage process for that, which is to select the most qualified provider and then to negotiate a fair price. So this is the method that the district has used in the past in the procurement of architectural services in 2009. It did the same thing. Administration solicited an RFQ, received those, made a recommendation to the board, and the board approved the current SHW at that time, who's been serving as the district's architect since then. That is the same thing we've done this time around. The main difference being that we used a committee to do a review. Also, a difference is we went out and we narrowed our list of firms who seemed to comply with the RFQ. And by the way, the RFQ spelled out a number of the criterion regarding what we would be looking for. When we got that in, we narrowed it down and then developed a rubric that we would use to select the architectural firm, and did site visits of a number of firms in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. From that, we narrowed that list down to three that we asked to provide a presentation to the committee or jury that would hear that. And then we made a selection to recommend from that. So the district this time is following essentially the same process that we've used in the past. We're complying with the Professional Procurement Act. This is something we've been talking about now rather openly since last spring. And as a matter of fact, we informed when we discussed with SHW back in June that the extension of their services regarding current projects, we let them know that we intended to go out for an RFQ this fall. So at that point, I'm going to let Dr. Burnett, if he would, talk a little bit more about the process of selection, and then we'll answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Waddell. As he mentioned, the selection has a lot of similarity to what the district did 3 years ago, with one major exception, as Dr. Haynes so eloquently noted earlier for personnel selection. This same comprehensive, inclusive process was used in the architect selection. We had a team that made the office visits. We visited 6 firms, and then we came back and included not only that visitation team, but also the leadership team to do a review of a presentation of a project that the architect firm presented to the selection committee. And then based on that day-long, that 4.5 hours worth of presentations, the committee made their selection. It was only then that Mr. Martin and I sat down with the proposed best firm and began to negotiate the terms of the contract.
Let me add, too, if I may, that we did consult with Laura Fowler of the Fowler Law Firm regarding the process, make sure that we were complying with the law, and she said the process we used is in compliance. This recommendation is more similar to what we did earlier tonight when we recommended coaches following a committee, or it would be similar to recommendation of a principal where, you know, there's an interview by a committee of, and then the administration determines that recommendation to present to the board. So it's different than what we would normally do in a bidding process because of the way that the law is written, but we did try to be as thorough and inclusive as possible in bringing this forward. And with your approval tonight, we'll be able to move forward quickly in assembling our facilities assessment committee and getting going on the evaluation of our buildings.
Great.
Anything
else?
I have one question. How much do we have left in the 2008 bond account?
We have with the sale of this last sale of bonds, we've now sold approximately $330 million, and we have about $350 million to go.
Okay, so we're about halfway through.
About halfway, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, and according to this, they're going to be responsible for the rest of that bond package.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you very much.
No other discussion. Chair calls the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you very much.
We have a representative from PBK, Irene Niglioni. Hope I said that. I apologize if I didn't, who's here. And if you have questions for PBK or for her, well, she'll be happy to answer it.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Would you have anything to say?
Absolutely. On behalf of PBK, we're just not.
Mike, please. Mike, please.
Yes, on behalf of everybody at PBK, we want to thank you for this opportunity. We're incredibly honored to be associated with Lewisville ISD. We were very excited and energized by the process that you followed, and we want to continue and start this partnership to help you provide great learning environments for every student in Lewisville ISD. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now, do I hear a motion for the consent items? Mrs. Collier, second by Mr. Ferguson. Any discussion? All in favor? Ms. Question, I see. Okay. Are we unanimous? All in favor? That is unanimous. If there's no further business to come before the body, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Basketball game.
Don't run over anybody.